Welcome to Treehouse Bakery. This video looks at my cookie mix versus the big brand. I'm Stephanie. That's me with the pink hair. Let's get started. The first thing that I want to look at is packaging. So this is plastic, and let's see what it says about recycling. Don't recycle, it says there. Yeah, everything we send you is made from plants and can either be recycled or composted. So that's wonderful, and then I've got instructions here on how to compost or recycle every little bit of packaging. So nothing in this box is going to end up in a landfill. Right, and here, all my ingredients. And that feels, to me, a lot more like baking from scratch than this, which in here, I haven't opened it yet, but I'm fairly certain is just one sort of ingredient, or just one mix in here. Another really big consideration is price, because we're all living on a budget, right? So this is £1.25 at the supermarket, and this is £11.50. What's the price per 100 grams? Okay, so this is £1.25, it's 200 grams. So the price per 100 grams is a little bit more than 60p. 760 grams, £11.50. That is something that I need a calculator for. It's £1.50 per 100 grams, because 60p per 100 grams, £1.50 per 100 grams. I'm just going to read out the allergens because you don't want to hear all of the ingredients. Wheat, soy, egg, dairy. And again, I'm just going to read the allergens. Wheat. Stir the cookie mix together with water until you have a stiff dough. This was surprisingly difficult. It really felt like there wasn't enough liquid in here, but I did want to stick to the recipe. As you see, I had to use my hands and really push it together to make a dough, but we got there in the end. Spoon, heaped teaspoons of the dough onto an ungreased baking tray. Oh, mine, too late. Leaving generous gaps between them. Because the dough is quite dry and crumbly, this is more difficult than it sounds. Bake for 10 to 12 minutes until golden, or leave in a little longer for extra crunch. Now, I don't like crunch at all, I want them to be nice and chewy, so I'm going to do it for 10 minutes. My oven's already preheated, so in we go! So this recipe, it doesn't say anything about chilling your dough or resting your dough, but I've been baking for a long time, and I always think cookie dough should be rested. So, well, I followed the recipe and I put like 2/3 of the mix is in the oven, and this is what's left, and I'm going to rest this for a minimum of 5 hours and then bake it and see if there's any difference. As in a large bowl, combine baking spread, brown sugar and caster sugar. This bit can be done with an electric mixer. Normally I would do it in a mixer, but to keep the comparison as even as possible, I did it by hand. It was actually pretty easy. 2. To the bowl, add flour and chocolate chips. Says roll the dough into 12 evenly sized balls about the size of a golf ball. Place the dough balls in an airtight container and put in the fridge to rest for a minimum of 5 hours.
If you're wondering why I'm resting the dough, I made a handy post about this on my Instagram, which I'll link to in the description.
So it's day 2 of baking cookies. I put the dough to rest for 5 hours and then life happened. So the dough has rested for 24 hours, which I think is okay. And we're gonna bake it and see what happens. To be totally honest, I am kind of shocked. These are the end results. So I baked all that dough. I haven't eaten any of the cookies. I didn't sneak any of the cookie dough and bake it. That's everything. And same story. This is everything for the Treehouse recipe. That's all the dough, that's all the cookies I made, and yeah, you can see here, it's hardly a comparison. So there's 2 different looks going on here. These rougher ones are the ones that I baked immediately after mixing. And it said to just spoon them onto the baking sheet, which is what I did. These sort of neater ones are the ones that I let rest, and I rolled them into balls so that they'd be a bit neater. And like, I think that that looks miles better than that.
And here's my cookies next to the other brand.
I'll start with these ones. And actually I'm going to compare the ones that weren't rested with the ones that were rested. This one looks good. It's gonna sound crazy, but something tastes a little fishy. I don't mean just like odd. I mean like fish. Okay, so it's not terrible actually. It's quite sweet. It's very grainy in your mouth. I wouldn't necessarily describe it as chewy, but the center is kind of soft. It's not. It's a pleasant texture. I wouldn't say it's great. Nothing in here tastes like chocolate. Let's taste one that's rested because maybe that's going to be a big improvement. Let's just see. That's miles better. Miles better. It's the exact same recipe. I can't even believe it. The texture is so much better. It's actually chewy. And I don't have that fishy taste at all, which makes me think that it's probably one of the dry.
Okay, I'm actually just waffling on here on complete conjecture. Suffice to say, the rested ones were better.
Actually pretty good. When you don't like just eat a thin piece of chocolate. Time to try these ones. I know I'm biased, but there's no comparison. The flavor, it tastes like brown sugar, but so smooth. There's nothing grainy in this. It's so good. It tastes buttery, and there's no butter in it. This is plant-based.
I'm obviously biased, so I thought I'd ask for a second opinion. Here's what he had to say about the big brand cookies.
There's nothing particularly wrong with it.
glowing review. And my cookies?
What I like about these, it's crunchy on the outside, it's soft on the inside.
Armadillo! If you know, you know. So darling, which are your favourites? Just checking, you preferred... Cool, we can stay married. If you're thinking that guy was also biased, I got a complete stranger who I've known for a decade to do another taste test. Okay, which one looks better? Here's the verdict on my cookies. And as close as we got to a verdict on the others. So which do you prefer?
So here's the thing, I'm actually really surprised. I have to be honest, like I thought about them on par and I thought, you know, I had like a few little bonuses, I'd just like add on a few little extras that maybe added value. But looking at them side by side, my heart's kind of broken because I grew up baking things like this. Products like this is what got me into baking, what kept me in the kitchen as a kid, as a teenager, and what brought me back as an adult. Like, I have loved stuff like this, and going through the process and being so disappointed in this product, I kind of ruined my childhood. I'm sad at how bad this is. All that said, I'm biased, duh, so decide for yourself.
Thank you for watching. Of course, you can buy my cookie mix on my website. The link is in the description. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. And this is a brand new channel, so subscribe and share it with your friends, share it with your enemies, share it with your family, share it with your dog. But seriously, help others find this video. I'll be super grateful. See you next time. Happy baking.